now the barrier to entry from your side is low, right? From the technical side, because you can just buy Serato, hook it up. You'll probably suck, but you think at least you in the game, right? You got a laptop and think and feel like, all right, I'm in there. But the barrier to entry is so low there that everyone is running to that side and ignoring the executive side, which is as important for the genre and for us to grow.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy DJ Buzzbin. From the time you hear the voice, you know it's only up from here. It's the Up From Here podcast, and we got an extremely special one today. Now, when it comes to the entertainment side of any genre, a very important role and a component of that industry is management. Now, when it comes to managers, especially in our soca industry, we've got one of the best in the business here. And when I say one of the best, I was sent a list of about 40-something people. Okay, we're not gonna sit here and say all those names because we'll be here for the whole hour of this podcast if I do that. But I'll let our special guest say who he manages and who he does bookings for. So in terms of management.
Let's start from the top, right? DJ Steven, Wasi One, Eruption High Power, Ovadose, DJ Avalanche, Vaughn.
Jeez.
Who else am I missing?
Y'all hearing these names?
Major Penny. Shout out to Major Penny. We just recently signed Major Penny to like the Kerry.
Nice.
There's the Gel. Is there anyone else missing? The crowd could say. DJ Nuno. Second Star. DJ Spider.
Star Martin is a new one.
Star Martin.
Wow.
Who else are we missing? But we're on Adam O's team as well, his management team. Bookings is everyone. And some of the people watching know that, bookings is just everyone. Yeah.
That's amazing. And people, we have the management.
DJ Spice. Shout out to DJ Spice.
Yeah. People, you're in for a treat today. We have the management of all those superstars, those soca superstars, none other than Jelani Hunte.
Hey, what's up, bro? Hell of an intro.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And as I read your catalog, it's a much deserved intro.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So first and foremost, thank you for being here. We definitely got to talk about, the management of artists. Now, one thing when it comes to the management of artists and soca music, I know that's not an easy task to handle, right? But you've made it a job of yours. So talk about, getting into that and your challenges that you faced.
Well, to start getting into it, it wasn't even really a choice of mine.
Wow. My
family was into the business since pre-Panorama days. First Panorama was in 1963.
Right.
My family was involved in the business way before then. Like my grandmother used to sew for George Bailey.
Wow.
So this is 1950s we're talking.
Yeah.
Right. And then my first job was actually in a mass camp. So I was involved in Carnival from Pampers. Like there was no, let me just find this thing and get involved in this. I was always in the business of Carnival.
Yeah.
So
it was in the family tree, so you kind of had no choice.
Yeah. My dad was a promoter. There's like 3 people alive that may know that.
Right. Oh, wow. So talk a little bit about that and you seeing that as a child growing up,
Yeah, it was our entire community, everybody from Brooklyn remember, but our entire community was just inundated with Carnival and everything around Carnival, right? So you had some kind of job.
Right.
You were handing out flyers, or you were running the bar. You were learning every aspect of it, and that's like we were just talking about. We've had every job in the industry, because we had to start from handing out flyers, and then you graduate from handing out flyers to maybe you could sit at the door. You go from the door to maybe you could run the bar, and that's how we grew up.
Now, reaching where you have reached, what and this is for the people that may want to get in this space. What's the importance of knowing everything? Because I've crossed that road many times, and I've said I'm so glad I knew about that because they would have got one over on me.
Yeah. See, I think there's a disconnect because people are not learning the foundational aspect of it. And if you don't understand the business, you don't understand what the promoter's going through, then how can you set rates and do bookings and things of that nature?
Right.
You have to know like price point. All right, I know that the promoter has to pay X amount for cups in Jamaica. It may or may not matter to me necessarily, but there will come a time where all that information is important.
Right.
So just going through those steps and actually learning the business, any industry, actually learning the business from the back end and what the pain points are is critical.
Critical and pivotal. So make sure and know every aspect of your business.
Yep.
Even if it's the setup. putting the cups in the right way, that everything matters. Now, when we're talking about artists and DJs, right? We've named some soca superstars, as I said. And some people may look at that, especially if you're a friend, you're a brethren with them, and you say, yo, why do they need a manager? I can't just link them direct.
Right.
What's the importance of a manager for these soca superstars or just people of that caliber in general?
So me, I've never approached anyone and say, hey, I should be a manager. I've never done that.
Right.
The first person that I actually ended up managing was DJ Steven.
Wow.
And that happened just with me and him talking every day, like 2011, 2012. Me and him talking every day, working through issues, and just me being a fan of him and saying, listen, I wanna go to this show because I know Steven is at this show. And then that blossomed into, yo, why you not on this show? I know this guy.
Yeah.
Let me call him in. Let me call him and see what I can do. And that became a partnership. It wasn't even, I don't even necessarily like the word manager. It's more of a partnership in what we do. It's like, all right, we want to get you to here, and I'm a part of this team. Let me be the spokesperson for you. If something goes wrong, I'll be the one to say that was on me.
Got it.
That's my position.
Amazing. So now for the people like myself, right? I never had a manager up until a certain point when I realized it was important and needed, right?
Right.
But for those people that are growing in their careers and want to look for management now, when it comes to, okay, like you just said, you now get a gig for said act.
Right.
In terms of whatever split there may be, what is something that people should look out for? Like, nah, he's robbing you. Or should people look out like, this is kind of where the ballpark of what that split looks like?
I don't want to throw any managers under the bus necessarily, because if somebody has a 50% split, but then the situation calls for that, you know. But
it might have been worth it if that situation blew them up.
What happened, right?
Right.
So for me, it's just about where we want to take the business, right?
Right.
And it's not necessarily about gigs. And I think a lot of us in the Caribbean market look at management as gigs. This person can bring me gigs.
Yeah.
When it's really about the trajectory of the business and how we want to scale. What are we building the business for? Are we building this business to scale, or are we building it to sell? What else are we including that we are making money off of that's not music? It's not Buzz B showing up to play at an event.
Right.
If Buzz B breaks his legs, I take both of your legs right now. How are you going to make money? How are you going to survive? Do we have other verticals that we can look at?
Right.
So that's what it's more about, and building a brand rather than just, let me send somebody here to play some songs.
Got you. Now, I was told, when we set up this interview, which I want to thank, the Chic Beauty team and everybody behind the scenes that provided us this venue. We're here in Tampa, Florida, actually. Yep. And they reached out to me saying they love the podcast and they wanted to make us connect to do this. So I want to say thank you to you guys. But one thing that they did mention was that you've taken people from the ground up. So I want you to share, how you did that, so to speak, and maybe certain success stories that you've had.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say the ground. I'm not.
You got to do something.
I'm not great at that, right?
Yeah.
Like I always say, I sell Ferraris, I sell Lamborghinis. I want luxury items.
Got it.
There's a space for Old Navy, and there's a space for Balenciaga, right? I'm Balenciaga.
Yeah.
I only sell that.
Got it.
I don't want to work with you from the ground up. I want you to come with me at 30%. Come to me at 30%, and then I can get you to 60.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to do some work. You have to have done some work already. Steven was already Steven.
Yeah.
And everyone can tell you that Steven, when we linked up, Steven was already Steven. Ovadose was already Ovadose. Avi was already Avi.
Nice.
Right? So what we were able to do was just look at what they were doing and say, all right, well, we need to tighten this up. We need brand image. We need to add some events to your portfolio. We need to go to some different territories. So.
Yeah. No, well, from a practicality purpose, again, from the person that's looking at this saying, I want a manager, what are some things as a manager that you would want to see if you want to take somebody on? Because you did mention like events and what would you want to see from that point?
Yeah, you want to see the hunger. Like you want someone that's not necessarily calling you every day and asking you to manage them, because that's different.
Yeah.
But you want to see someone that's putting the work in, and that's putting the effort in. And you're seeing the trajectory. Like, I could give some specifics, like Ovadose, right?
Right.
I've known this kid since he was maybe 14, 15. We never really discussed management, but he was kind of under the umbrella. In COVID, he started doing these series that started picking up. He started doing these lives that started picking up weekly. And he called me. He called me like not every day, but he called me enough. And then he saw me in Tampa. He was like, "Yo, listen, I'm really serious. I'm at this stage where I need help. I have family in place that handles my finances. All of that is good. They will stay in place. But I need right now. It's getting overwhelming, and I don't know what to do."
Wow.
And when somebody that you know as a kid comes to you and says that, you're like, "All right."
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we have situations where people are just taking advantage of it. People are just, they're put in situations like you may have been Busby when he was 13, right? And now you're 21, but people still want to pay you like you're 13.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, and that was some of what happened with him. So it was like, all right, well, we need someone with some cachet to step in and be like, all right, hold up. This is an adult now. You have to treat him like an adult.
That's amazing. That's amazing. As I mentioned earlier, there's a bit of a stigma when it comes to management.
Yeah.
So with said kid or whatever the case is, you've got this person and people are already accustomed booking them.
Yep.
But this person is now in a different space and they need management to handle that aspect. And the stigma, when I say stigma, I mean those same people that may be friends of said act are like, "Yo, Bregin, like, I've always been just messaging you on WhatsApp. Why I need to go through management? Oh, you're big time? No."
Yeah.
So I say that to say, like, talk about the stigma of it and talk about, answer that question. Why do people need management?
That's a great one. So I say on that end, management has to do the work, right? Because we're in a people business. People are the resource. If you don't know these important promoters, you need to figure out how to connect with them. Our office is not in, Chic Beauty Collective. Our office is backstage. Our office is at the event. If you're not at the event, it doesn't matter. You have to get to know these promoters. So by the time I call Dr. J in Toronto, and he's like, "Oh, you under Jelani?" It's like, "Oh, I know Jelani. I have a relationship with Jelani. I always deal with Jelani, so I'm comfortable with doing that."
Right.
Yeah, and there's also, man, there's so much. There's also just the thought of, why give someone a percentage of my money, right? It's an obvious, that's a real question. It's a valid thing. Like, why should I give you the money when somebody wants to book me, they can call me direct?
Yeah.
Okay, see how far you get without a team. Tell me somebody that's done anything great without a team.
Wow.
And my team can attest to that. Like, anything that I'm doing, I bring people into it. Because I know there's only so far I can go. I won't have the bandwidth. There's only so far I can go without support.
Got it.
And without, people that I can ask questions, people that I can feed off of.
Yeah.
So
that's clearly showing the importance of having management.
Having a team, yeah.
And a team in general, but that management component and there being a process. Because I remember when I had to make that transition, because legitimately my business was getting too busy for me, one, to not be handling every single message that comes in about bookings, and two, I'm not trying to deal with, but come on, let me get a blind. I'm busy.
Right.
And unfortunately, I apologize, but I can't devote that much time to your project, especially if you're trying to do the back and forth.
Going on. I have my own brand and business I'm trying to build. What I would say for any DJs or artists looking for management, things to look for would be, what are your plans for your own business? Like, are you just trying to manage me and
are you just trying to get 20%?
Right. You just go, like, what are your independent business plans? Like, what are your verticals? Like, how are you looking at scaling your own business?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
What does, like, with Top Notch Inc., like, what does Top Notch look like in 5 years, 10 years? Like, is it even going to be around?
Yeah.
Because you have one act and now this one act decides, Buzz B decides, I'm not DJing anymore. I'm going to just be a promoter. So then what happens?
That could be your number one act.
Right, exactly.
And the bread of the whole operation.
It's gone.
So as we're here, 5 to 10 years or even beyond that, both for Top Notch and the scene in general, what do you want to see out of all of this?
We definitely need more people on the other side of the fence, right? So we need more Chase, we need more Dwights. Dwight is Dollar Sham, who's a great manager as well.
Right.
Kev, I'm trying to shout out all the managers. Lyndon.
Dope.
So many others, but we need more people on that side because everyone now, the barrier to entry from your side is low, right? From the technical side, because you can just buy Serato, hook it up. You'll probably suck, But you know, you think at least you in the game, right? You got a laptop and think and feel like, all right, I'm in there. But the barrier to entry is so low there that everyone is running to that side and ignoring the executive side, which is as important for the genre and for us to grow. Even just the name and the stigma that comes around with manager, it's like, all right, like people look at me and say, all right, you're a manager, or are you a manager or a booking agent? Like I can do whatever. I've been in this business all my life, right? Like I do everything. Like I'm a plug filler. So if you need a barman, I'll probably be one of the best barmen here. You know, if whatever you need, because I know the industry that well and I've studied it and I've invested my time into it.
So now, as you said, you've studied it. Who are some people that you've studied in the game?
Oh, man. So going back, like I said, my dad was always involved in the industry. My cousin was the first person I saw, Giselle DeWasiwan.
Wow.
Up close, like actually on TV and going to shows of her. So that was a huge deal for me. There's people I watch that don't even know I watched them.
Wow.
Like Back to Basics for years. I studied Back to Basics, followed them. Young Chow and I grew up together.
Crazy.
Dr. J, I remember going to Toronto Carnival, and these are specific like memories. I remember going to Toronto Carnival in like 1995.
Yeah.
And it was like, this young guy is up and coming. Don't let Jay get hype, he'll see this. But I was like, oh man, this guy is gonna be real hot.
Yeah.
This was like 95.
Yeah.
And he was, he was of age then, but he was like still young. He was older than me, but still young. But yeah.
Look where we are now.
So those are people that had like a huge influence. Did I say DJ Spice?
No.
Oh man, DJ Spice, Team Soca, huge influence. His father, and they were just incredible. MC Wasi was another one that had Brooklyn in a chokehold. Like you couldn't have an event without MC Wasi, Casanova's on it.
Yeah.
And those were, I've always followed DJs. So I've always had a DJ, like now I'm following guys. I'm not going to say, right now I'm following people, right? So I've always had a DJ that I've admired and was like, oh, is he playing on that event? I'm going there.
Check it out.
You know, so, yeah.
So is that, I mean, just from a behind the scenes impression, is that how you scout? You would just go to these feds, see who's who?
Kind of, yeah. I would go to events, and it was the same thing in hip hop. I would go to events, and we would pick out people that we liked, and we would just form a crew, and our crew would follow them. And that's how organic it was. Yeah. You know, it was always about music. Like that was the beginning of everything.
Got you.
Steven was the same way. We just followed Steven. It was like, all right, Steven's hot. We like the way Steven plays. We just everywhere Steven go, we just were going. You know. I
love it. Now, a lot of what we're talking about is within our industry, right? Yeah. And especially the management component, as you said, knowing people in the industry, shaking hands and developing a networking situation. When we're talking about breaking out of what we know, which is that Soca bubble, and getting further than that, I know, within the names that you've mentioned, many people are knocking on that door. Yeah. So from the vantage point of you guys trying to break out of the Soca bubble, go international, and go into new spaces now, what are some of the sacrifices and compromises you guys would have to make along that road?
Money. That's one thing, right? Yeah. Like we have to reset our expectations. Not that we're not going to make money, but money can't be our primary
focus. Yeah.
Our primary focus, and that's what we have to be smart about. Like, how can we utilize resources? Because a lot of these festivals don't necessarily have a bag for us, but they have resources that we can utilize. Yeah. So it's not necessarily always how much they paying. That's our go-to. How much they paying, right? They're paying $0, but guess what? It's Coachella. Yeah. you know,
I'm taking that in a heartbeat.
Like, come on, what do you do now? Yeah. You know, so just being smart about how we can utilize resources to get into these spaces, and be very careful about just looking for money only solely.
Yeah. Now, in terms of artists as well as DJs, right? I've worked with both, I've interacted with both, and I know the potential of how people could get, right? This industry's trying, and this industry will take a toll on you, and you may not necessarily act the way you normally are. Yeah. And those moments when,
everybody changes,
exactly, right? And it's a different person in those moments. So you being the manager, you're one of the most pivotal people for that moment. So you don't have to necessarily share moments, but like, how would people get over something like that? Or how do you even manage somebody's ego or personality or them acting up crazy?
Oh man, you got to make sure that, like I said, it's I don't even utilize the term manager because everything we do is partnerships.
Partnerships.
Right. So this is your company too.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to crash and burn it, this is your crash and burning half of it. I'm not fully and solely responsible for everything that goes on with you. So you need to be responsible as well. And you have to pick out that personality type from early on. Like, all right, if I give this person $1 million, are they going to completely change and act like a totally different person? Sometimes you can't tell, but most times you can feel it out and know, like, all right, this is an honest person. They have a great foundation. They have people around them that are honest. If they start tripping, the people around them will check them before I even have to get to that point.
Wow, that's a dope perspective.
You know, crazy. So and that's critical. Who are you?
Yeah.
If they take everything away, right? If they take the Gucci away and everything, then who are you?
And I think with today's media, we are seeing that firsthand.
Yeah.
The people who literally made it to the top and are glorified as the top in excellence of what they do have literally had it all stripped down to the core. And now who are you? And now when the news and publicity...
If you take away everything.
And when news and publicity is saying how bad you actually were behind the scenes now, all of that, what did it really mean?
And that goes back to what I was saying. I've never asked anyone to manage them or book them or do anything like that. It was always organic situations where we had a conversation and we agreed to form a partnership.
Nice.
It was just like, all right, we're good friends, and I want to look out for your well-being as well as you want to look out for mine, because you have to want to look out for mine as well. You know, I'm not in this. This is not one-sided.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching your back, you're watching my back as well, right? And that's how you have to develop those friendships and blossom those relationships to get to that point.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, I know you might not want to say, but if you can, who would you want to reach out to ask? Because I know you say you don't do it, but who would, if that was the one, you say I have to get this guy?
Who's in the most trouble? Right? Who has a situation that I can tell you about? Who has 2 baby mothers and they need to eat next week, right? And they need to buy Pampers, and who is in the most dire situation that needs help? That's the one.
Wow.
Who's the brokest?
Okay, you can fix it.
Who's the brokest, but they're a star? Because you have to be a star. Right? You want to sell Ferraris, but you have to be a star, and you have to have some kind of pain point. Everything can't be perfect. If everything is perfect, what you need a manager for? What you need me for?
Exactly.
Your life is great, right?
Yeah. And a lot of people will also question, like, especially when it comes to that stigma point of why do you need a manager? What's a moment where somebody could say, okay, now I should look into management?
Bandwidth. You know, if number one, you just don't have the time.
Yeah.
You're finding yourself, you're building, you have the foundation set for your company, but you just don't have the time to look into, to answer the phone every 2 minutes. Or, you know, to deal with commercial requests or podcast requests or all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then you know. It's not just being stuck, because being stuck could actually mean that you just don't have scalability, to be honest. Right? But it's just when you don't have the time and you need someone else to handle those other pieces of it, you know, or you want to scale and you don't know how to scale, then you need consultation. You don't necessarily need a manager, you might need consultation. You might need to just call me and say, yo, what's going on? How do I do this? Right? I would say the other part of it, when you definitely need management, is when you're doing things like just this bad business practices. Like, all right, you have 2 promoters call, you forget you booked a date, you book another date. All right, my brother, you have a problem, right? Or you're booking dates, and you're so afraid that you won't have dates next year that you're taking any gig, and you're taking gigs into 2027 because you're afraid that they won't, like, the gigs, the water's going to run dry. Sometimes the water's going to run dry, right? So,
and at a certain point too, it's great to have those second eyes.
Yeah, and if you're not saying no, you need a manager. If you're not saying no to anything. Everybody that calls you, once the date is available, it's a yes. You probably need some management.
Yeah.
Because you have no strategy. you can play anywhere, right?
Yeah. And no, it got
You
to
don't
that.
know your sweet spots.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And it got to that point with me where bookings were coming in like crazy, and I'm like, I can't manage all of this. And I realized to myself, okay, I need this component in what I do. And I didn't even know you guys existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
well, we kind of didn't.
Yeah.
Especially for DJs.
You built
no
this.
one wanted to really touch it.
Yeah. And from your perspective now, what do you think that's done for the industry? Like, people have now seen you guys step in and do this.
Man, I think we structured it a lot, and we put a lot of people in position to where we can. Because remember, like in Soca in general, Soca DJs never used to play on other events. Like it was one or two that would play on dance hall events, and you know. But now we've opened it up to where it's open format. You know what I mean? Buzz B like could go play anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and we haven't done that solely, but we definitely help with that process. And having just a structure for DJs in particular, I was talking about that, for DJs in place to make sure that you guys get the basic things. You know, just make sure you have a hotel that doesn't have, you know, roaches and rats in it, like the thing that was on Martin.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to go to your hotel. You reach somewhere and you have to fight that.
Yeah.
So
Before your gig too.
Right. Before your gig, right? So and this is what used to happen. You reach your hotel, somebody in your hotel, somebody in your room. Like, why is somebody in my like? Oh, nah, because the promoter booked it, and
Yeah.
So you not cool with him? We all, you know, I did do that, right?
Yeah,
we had to go through that. It was like these crazy situations, right?
I've been in some places.
Listen, I could tell you some stories, man.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, you get to the place and you're like, no hotel.
It goes back to the compromise that you have to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't see that side of it. They don't see those hard times. They just see the glory.
This is popping.
That's Instagram, the highlight reel.
2024 is hot right now.
But they don't see the back end of it, right? It's difficult. Now, with artists and DJs, I know you had mentioned, like, you kind of have to have a certain way with one and a certain way with another. Talk about that dynamic, and especially juggling both.
Yeah. Well, with artists, it's a little bit different because there's a lot of finer details that they may need, right? So you just have to pay attention a lot more.
Yeah.
With a DJ, I could easily pull you out of there.
Yeah.
You know, we just never talk to this guy again, anything, right?
Yeah.
But with an artist, it's like you can get on that stage and it's all bad, and then it's the artist's fault. You know, and it's fully the artist's fault.
Yeah.
And then with artists as well, there's an expectation for them to act different. Right?
Yeah.
Like no one is telling you to act different when you come to a city. But artists is like, oh, don't go there. Or if you go here and then now you have a hit song and there's an entourage. And there's 6 random people around you that we don't know how they got there. We don't know why they're there. So now it's these other voices filtering in as well that complicates things. So it's dealing with all of that.
Yeah.
You know.
So being a promoter as well, right? I DJ and I do my own events. So being the promoter and on that side of things and not knowing this side of the business or the management component, I've booked artists, and that alone is a feat, right?
Yeah.
And there's, again, so many intricate things associated with that. But now when I'm flying in an artist, I realize, okay, you have to fly in manager too. Yeah. And if not, sometimes you have to fly in 2 manager. Right. Then you have to put them all up. And now your budget has, and I've reached a point in the business where I could see why, right? But for those that may not see that, why should somebody need to fly in a manager with the artist?
Well, because it's required, number one, and it's in your contract. So I'll sue you.
No. Well, beyond the strong arm thing.
You only clear, and I'll take everything you have, right? I'll just
understood. Yeah, okay.
So, but beyond,
always fly Jelani in. Got it. Understood.
But beyond that, right? Yeah. Like there's things that we don't want the artists to have to deal with. Like the artists. Like, imagine you go somewhere, like, even for you, it's frustrating. Like, you go somewhere and then you have to worry about, am I going to get paid?
Bro.
How are you going to perform, like, with that over your head? You have to worry about per diem, you have to worry about meals, like, you know, so that is to alleviate a lot of that stress, as well as coordinate with cameramen.
Yeah.
So when we get to a city, I'm on the phone. I'm like, hey, meet us here. The cameraman, the photographer is following us. I'm setting up radio. I'm setting up all those other things behind the scenes. The artist just has to get dressed and meet us in the lobby. Everything else is taken care of. The artist just has to get dressed and meet us and come to the show. 6:30 lobby, right? We get to the show, everything is set. I've already checked the stage. I've already done everything. You just have to sing these 10 songs that you already know.
Yeah.
And then I'm handling transport back to the hotel and everything else. So it just condenses everything and makes it like, you just do this part.
Yeah.
And that's what management is. You just, let me make it so that you just do this part.
Yeah.
You focus on being the talent. You don't have to worry about anything else. Everything else is going to be taken care of for you. Now, we want you to think about those things and ask questions, but everything else is taken care of for you so you can be as good as you need to be when it's time to perform.
That's huge. And the reason I say that is because, again, I'm now starting to get into the international spaces and performing on these big stages that, yeah, I did it at home and there's a certain level of exhaustion. But when you're considering this person had to relocate, travel to a different part of the world, time zones might be different, you're quarreling with baby mama or baby daddy, your kids pissed off at you, this and that. There's a million things. And just to go on that stage, especially as a major act in what you do, you literally, to me, the expression I use is I feel like I'm leaving myself on that stage.
Yeah.
I give my all to the stage, do my best to entertain everybody out there, but when I'm done, I literally I'm fully drained. And
mentally, physically,
all of
everything is.
So, and then that's when that part of it struck a chord with me, because it's like I did all of that now, and I still have to worry about if I'm getting paid.
And then when you leave and go back to the hotel, now you getting emails, you get calls, because people saw you at the show.
Yeah.
So now it's like, all right, I want to book you for this. Yeah. Can you turn around and, So it's all of those things that behind the scenes that we're handling.
Yeah, which is amazing. And I something I see is necessary because, again, before I knew you guys existed, which, as you said, you didn't at a point in time, I just naturally thought to myself, this is something I need to add to what I'm doing.
And you know how podcasts go, right? There's going to be somebody from 1975. It's going to be, I was a manager. I was a manager in 73. This man don't know what he's talking about. Right? Yeah. Them just let anybody on them podcasting. so yeah.
It's exactly how they would talk to you, though.
This is why it's gonna happen, and that's why I don't do them really. But
yeah. But no, bro, this has been an amazing podcast. This is what I'm trying to share. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting in these spaces, and I appreciate you guys for even making this happen. But the value that it brings our community is worth the hour we sitting here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I appreciate you. I thank you for your time. Any last words for the people, especially let's say there's a kid watching right now. He's got his stuff going too, baby mamas, and he said, this is the guy.
Build a team, learn to listen. You don't learn anything by talking, right? Learn to listen. Listen to the people around you, even if you don't take it on. But build a team. You're getting nowhere alone.
And
build a team and learn to listen.
Got it. And if they want you to be their manager, what's your final pitch?
Man, do I know him?
It's in that ballpark of the two baby mamas. They're dealing with struggling rent checks. Call you?
Call me. Instagram me.
So with that said, that's how we're gonna end it. Where can they call you? How can they Instagram you? What's your Instagram handle?
Just_top-notch.
Just_top-notch.
Just_top-notch. Yeah.
Dope. All right, so we're gonna put that all right below on the screen.
Yeah.
So people check that out. It's been another edition of the Up From Here podcast. Amazing episode. Again, we're here in Tampa, Florida. I'm recording this on a gig here in Tampa Carnival. I want to big up our special guest, Jelani Hunte. Appreciate you, big dog.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.